There is a particular kind of loudness inside the head that arrives the moment you sit down to be still. A voice that was quiet all afternoon, and now, in the silence you have made for it, finds its full and patient breath. Tonight I want to tell you about a small wooden tea house on the side of an old mountain road, and an old man who said almost nothing, and a wandering swordswoman with a deep red cord on the hilt of her sword, who had been at war. Not with the world, but with the voice that lived behind her own eyes, for so many winters that she had forgotten there was any other way to live. The story is about a single afternoon. It is also, perhaps, about the next quiet hour of your own life. Her name is Tsubaki. She is a ronin, with no master to return to, the world she trained for already over by the time she turned 20. She walks the old roads of Bakumatsu, Japan, with one katana on her left hip, hand bound at the hilt with deep red cord, frayed and rewrapped many times by her own hands on long, cold nights. She is 30. There is a fine scar over her left eye that she does not speak of. She speaks rarely about anything. For 10 winters she had carried a voice in her head that had not, in all that time, gone quiet for more than the length of a breath. It had 1,000 things to say to her, and every one of them began with the word, you. You were not enough. You were not the daughter your father wanted. You walked off the field when better people did not. You should have died. She had argued with it. She had reasoned with it. She had, when she was younger, wept against it. Each argument had only made the voice more clear, more patient, more sure of its ground. On the 17th day of the 11th month, on a road she had never walked before, Tsubaki came over a low pass and found a small wooden tea house leaning into the hillside, smoke rising in a thin grey thread from a chimney of clay. There was no sign hung from the eaves. There was an old man kneeling on the step, sweeping pine needles from a board with a bundle of bound straw, and he did not look up at her as she came down the path. She stopped at the edge of the clearing. She watched him. He swept the same patch of board 4 times, slowly, with the same slow stroke, and on the 5th pass, he set the bundle down beside his knee and stood and turned and went into the tea house without a word. She understood that this was the invitation. Inside, the room was small enough to hold no more than 3 people kneeling. The shoji screens were drawn against the cold. A low iron kettle sat on a brazier of glowing coals at the center of the floor. A tatami mat lay across from the brazier, and on it a single cushion the color of dried wheat. The old man knelt on his own side. He did not look at her. He gestured with the very smallest motion of his open hand at the cushion. She set the saya on the floor beside her. She knelt seiza, hands folded over her thighs. The voice in her head, which had not stopped speaking on the road, found the silence inside the room and grew louder. He has already seen, hasn't he? He has already seen what you are. Look at his hands. Look at the years in them. What did you do with your years? You let them pass. You let everyone go. You should not be here. He is being kind. You are wasting his afternoon. The old man took the kettle from the coals. He set it on the mat. He took a small lacquered caddy and lifted from it, with a slim bamboo scoop, a single measured portion of pale green tea, and tipped it into a black ceramic bowl. He took a bamboo whisk. He poured. He whisked. He turned the bowl 2 precise turns in his hand. He set the bowl on the mat between them. He bowed his head, slightly. He waited. Tsubaki took the bowl in both hands. She turned it the 2 turns. She drank. The tea was bright, faintly bitter, faintly green, the steam against the scar over her left eye. She set the bowl down. She bowed her head slightly. The old man took the bowl back. The voice in her head said, "He didn't even look at you. He knows. He knows you don't deserve to be at his table." The old man rinsed the bowl. He set it on a folded square of cloth. He took the kettle, he took the caddy, he took the scoop. He measured, he poured, he whisked. He turned the bowl 2 precise turns. He set the bowl on the mat. He bowed his head. He waited. Tsubaki took the bowl. She turned the 2 turns. She drank. She had not, until that moment, noticed that her shoulders had lowered. The voice in her head said, "This is just a parlor trick. This is just an old man and an old kettle. Don't be moved by it. Don't be one of those people who is moved by such small things." And she did not, for the first time in many winters, answer it. She did not argue. She did not explain. She did not weep against it. She turned the bowl. She drank. She set the bowl down. She bowed her head. The old man rinsed the bowl. He set it on the folded cloth. He took the kettle. He took the caddy. He took the scoop. He measured. He poured. The afternoon went on. Outside, the light through the shoji turned amber, then dusky, then grey. 5 bowls were poured, and 6, and Tsubaki did not count them after that. She matched the old man's rhythm, the lift of the kettle, the measured scoop, the whisk, the 2 turns, the bow. The room held the small, clean sound of bamboo on lacquer and the slow, steady breath of the iron kettle on the coals. The voice in her head spoke, at the 3rd bowl. "You are running away. This is just running away." She did not answer it. She turned the bowl. It spoke at the 4th. "He'll send you out into the dark and you'll be alone again with me. And then where will you be?" She did not answer it. She drank. It spoke once more, somewhere between the 5th bowl and the 6th. And then, like a small fire that has been given no fresh wood and no fresh breath, it grew faint, and then fainter. And then, for the first time in 10 winters, she was sitting in a small wooden room with an old man and a kettle and the very quiet sound of her own breathing, and there was no one else inside her head at all. She did not move. She did not turn to look at the old man. She did not, for that long-held moment, even close her eyes. She simply sat. The kettle breathed on the coals. The light through the shoji was the color of a candle seen through cream paper. The voice was not gone. She knew that. The voice was only, for the first time, without anything to push against. It was here, kneeling on a wheat-coloured cushion in a room small enough to hold 3 people, with the warmth of the 6th bowl still inside her chest, that she felt the turn come into her, quiet as a held breath. For 10 winters she had been at war with the voice. She had argued with it. She had reasoned with it. She had wept against it. And every argument, she now understood, had been a fresh log on its fire. The old man had not silenced the voice. The tea had not silenced the voice. She had silenced it, by accident, by giving it nothing for the length of a single afternoon to push against. The voice had not been her enemy in the way she had always thought. The voice had been a door that opened only when she pulled at the handle. As long as she explained herself to it, defended herself against it, wept against it, it had her. The moment she set the handle down, turned a bowl, drank a sip of tea, watched the light fall through paper, the door, with no one pulling at it, simply closed. It would open again. She knew that. The door was always there. But it could not, by itself, force itself open. It needed the hand on the handle. It needed the argument. It needed her. The practice, then, was not to win the argument. The practice was to leave the room. And the leaving could be a single careful motion of the hand, a single slow turn of a black ceramic bowl, a single full breath taken in and let out without comment. The leaving could be, for some long part of an afternoon, the small repeated work of pouring and whisking and turning and drinking and pouring and whisking and turning and drinking again. Ritual, breath, repetition. The silences in which the voice, having no door to lean on, has nothing at all to say. The voice in your own head feeds on argument. It feeds on your defense, your explanation, your reasoning, your weeping against it. Every time you try to answer it, you give it the one thing it cannot make for itself: a hand on the handle of the door. Tonight, before you sleep, find one small repeated motion of your own. The folding of a cloth, the slow drinking of a glass of water, the straightening of the books on a shelf. Pick one thing you can do with your hands, slowly, the same way, for as long as you can bear it. And when the voice arrives, and it will arrive, do not answer. Do not argue. Do not explain. Turn the bowl. Take the breath. Set the cloth in its place. You will not have silenced the voice. You will only have stopped feeding it. That is enough. That, tonight, is the whole practice. Good night.